Hello and welcome to the East Africa Studio African Utility Week. I'm Rose Bundock and I'm joined now by Lisa Reynolds, President-elect of the Southern African Association for Energy Efficiency. Thank you for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you, Rose.
Energy efficiency is part of the conference programme here. It's becoming an increasingly talked about topic. You were part of the sessions yesterday. Can you just recap on the kind of conversation that was coming out of that conference room?
Well, as you said, the focus in the session was on energy efficiency, as opposed to generating electricity or generating energy, which people seem to understand a bit better. And it was really the best energy is the energy that you don't use. So that is basically what energy efficiency is all about. And I think it's ideas and concepts of how to save energy and how to use it more efficiently so that we don't waste. And it is a harder concept because you can't measure savings. And it's always difficult to sort of promote this kind of concept. Whenever there's load shedding, people always think about generating more. Not that if we save it, we probably would not have the load shedding to start with.
Yeah, and then the Minister of Energy was here yesterday,
Yes.
Tina Joemat-Pettersson, and she said exactly that. When they have load shedding, South Africans expect more energy as opposed to thinking, how can I save?
Yeah.
So what kind of things are you doing as an association to take people on that journey?
We are doing a lot of things. So on my side, I work mainly with standards. So I presented yesterday as well on a case study that we have done at Saint-Gobain, the company I work with, or work for, and on our implementation of ISO 50001, which is the energy management standard. And there was quite a few case studies, very, very good energy saved, good results. So we're promoting that. We also involved with the MNV standards, measurement and verification standards, and the measurement, verification, accreditation of people, and that obviously supports the Tax 12I, Tax 12L incentives for energy efficiency. And I am also involved in the energy efficiency standards for buildings, including the energy performance certificates, which is going to be the labelling of buildings. So similar to the appliance labelling.
Obviously we had the launch yesterday of the energy efficiency labels for appliances, which is now compulsory.
Yes.
So are we moving in the same way for buildings?
Yes. So the government will mandate that all public buildings will have to have an energy performance certificate. It looks very similar to the energy appliance label.
Okay.
You'll get a A to G rating, and with the view that once we've got all the information of where the government buildings lie, efficiency and energy-wise, then they will then try and get all buildings into a certain level and a certain label. And so it's a good start, it's a good move. So we're looking after the shell of the building as well as the appliances that you put inside the buildings.
Okay. So what are the quick wins to reduce your energy consumption within a building?
Well, the quick wins is really to look at not having to heat or cool, looking at the comfort of your building. So the more you can work on the building shell and the comfort levels within your building, obviously lighting, heat and cold ingress or egress, then you don't have the need for putting a heater on or putting an aircon on. So the more comfortable your building is, the less likely you are to turn something on. And that's really where we look at is to improve the building shell.
And I mean, these regulations will become mandatory. What kind of penalties will come into place?
That I'm not sure of. Look, as I said, for new buildings, there's an energy efficiency regulation already, and this energy performance certificate is with a view of looking at existing buildings and retrofitting them into energy efficiency. And as I said, at first it'll just be the government buildings that have been mandated, but obviously the push is to try and get people to, have these energy performance certificates in their buildings, and doing it because it makes business sense.
Yeah, I understand that the government's the 7th biggest landlord in South
absolutely.
Africa, so I suppose it's a good place.
Something like
start.
85 million square meters
Okay.
of floor area of government buildings in our country. So I think if they show the way, it
Yeah.
will be really, really good for the rest of us.
What types of new technologies or systems are you seeing that you're quite excited about, that you'd like to try and apply in South Africa?
Well, look, my speciality is obviously building materials, so I push strongly on insulation, because I think the less you have to turn things on and off, because the biggest energy saver is people's habits, changing people's habits. But the most difficult energy saver to implement is changing people's habits.
Yeah.
So where you can have something that almost does its work without anybody having to think about it, it's the best kind of intervention you can. So I think if you do a combination, as I say, of good building shell, good insulation, and for instance things like motion sensor lighting, daylight sensors, basic things, sealing your building, so that you don't get unwanted cold air coming through. So really there's a lot of basics that you can do and low-cost interventions before you even start with technology. And so we sort of say, well, start at the ones that, as I say, you don't turn anything on and off, does its job, gives you the comfort, and then start looking at the technology. And obviously, I do believe in renewables. I think, solar water heating, it's also, we'd be crazy to waste this beautiful energy we have from the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. So what incentives will there be for for building managers? Will there be any kind of discounts if you put in?
Well, look, there is the tax incentive, the tax 12L, and at its current level, it does make financial sense for buildings to put in energy efficiency and claim the tax rebate. But it's also a bottom line thing, is that if you save energy, you save money. And the question that I always ask, it's not necessarily what is the cost of energy, but what's the cost to you of not having energy. So it's a question of, if you save, energy security is higher, and then that's a saving in itself. Because we're too quick to put on generators, and besides the cost of running the generators, the pollution. And I think it's really, it does make business sense. It's not just about saving the planet and hugging trees, it's about bottom line stuff.
Yeah, and that's the kind of angle that you use to promote.
Yeah.
I mean, are there sort of set targets? The government buildings, will they be aiming for a set target?
Yes, it's in the National Energy Efficiency Strategy, and they're looking at a 15% saving on commercial buildings. So
and do you
there's
feel
a set
that's
target.
Realistic?
Yes, I think it's quite achievable, and I think it just takes the will, and I believe that the will has been shown, and it's achievable.
Okay. So if one of our viewers is a building manager and they want to kind of save money, what's the best kind of way to approach it? Does it involve quite a lot of planning, or is it something you can just kind of get started?
I think it's just what you get started with, and I think you need to analyze it, because again, you don't have to do the whole building all at once. For instance, if you want to look at a more efficient aircon system, do it at the time that you're going to do maintenance or you're going to do replacement. Lighting, do it when you need to do maintenance of lighting and things like that. So that it keeps in the business sense of running the building and managing the building. And sort of do a building audit, an energy audit on your building, and you can see what's the best bang for buck, and go through it. And the beauty of it is that you go through a list and you go down the list of diminishing returns, but with the increase in energy prices, the diminishing returns get less diminishing as you go along. So approach it like any project, and it makes sense, and and the savings can actually fund the next stage of the project.
So those are the kind of resources people would find through the association?
Yes, absolutely. If the questions asked, they need to contact the SAEE, and this is the kind of information that we will
And you obviously represent the whole of Southern Africa.
Yes.
Which country's kind of leading the way in energy management?
Well, South Africa, I have to say. but I think there's a lot of interest expressed from the countries. And on the standard side, we do a lot of interactive work. The governments have shown interest in looking at energy efficiency standards and regulation. So Botswana, Namibia have looked at it. So there's a few countries that are interested. Kenya's quite interested. So there's a lot of interest shown. There's quite a few green building councils that have been formed in Africa as well, which is also an indication of interest in not just energy, but actually the whole green program. So there's quite a number of African countries that have formed green building councils now. So it's positive. It's very positive.
Yeah, and often the conversation here is electrification still. Why you're asking people to be energy efficient when they haven't actually got a steady power supply, but yes, it should all be part of the conversation.
Absolutely, and the thing is, sometimes it transcends just about energy. So if you look at affordable housing, the more energy efficient you make it, the more comfortable you make it, and it's got a knock-on health effect. The energy efficient buildings are healthy buildings, so even if it's not grid connected, it does make sense to make these houses energy efficient, because it assists in reducing the burning of fossil fuels inside the house and assists in the health side of it. So it's not just about saving money and saving energy, it's also about the general well-being, because efficient buildings, whether it be an affordable house or a commercial building, they're healthier buildings, and that's also what we want. Want more productive buildings as well.
So a real holistic approach.
Absolutely, and because again, if we save on the health side of making inefficient energy buildings efficient, it's got a knock-on effect on the amount of money we spend on healthcare. And I mean, respiratory diseases are one of the main causes of illness in our country. So I have a holistic approach of everything. So I believe that, it just makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your time, for sharing those thoughts today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us.